In the mid-1960s, while the automotive world was still chasing power and thunderous roars, Toyota chose a completely different path. They didn't want to build the most powerful engine, nor did they try to outpace anyone with speed. What they sought was smoothness, elegance, and absolute reliability in the Japanese way. You may have never heard of the name 2M. It's not as famous as the 2JZ. It never appeared in action movies or high-speed races. But for those who have driven an old Toyota Century or simply heard the engine quietly humming in the middle of the night, it's an experience they will never forget. Today, we'll explore why this engine was once considered the aristocratic heart of Toyota, and why, even though it has long gone silent, it still lives on in the memory of those who truly understand cars. In the early 1960s, as Japan's economy was growing at a breakneck pace, the demand for luxury vehicles aimed at businessmen, politicians, and the elite class began to take shape. Toyota understood that if they didn't move quickly, they would lose the high-end market to European brands. And so, a special project was born. Not to create a sports car, not for speed enthusiasts, but a quiet, luxurious limousine made more for those in the back seat than the driver up front. At its core, the 2M was an inline-6 engine using a single overhead camshaft. The displacement was 2.3 centimeters. The compression ratio was set at 8.8 to 1, fairly suitable for Japan's fuel quality at the time. The engine block was cast in iron, providing high durability and excellent heat resistance. The cylinder head was made of aluminum alloy, helping reduce weight and improve cooling. The valve system used a 2-valve per cylinder configuration. Camshaft operation was driven by a single timing chain. Simple, yet extremely stable over time. One of the key factors that made the 2M so smooth was its 7-main-bearing crankshaft. This design minimized vibrations in low to mid RPMs. Additionally, lightweight pistons and precisely machined moving parts contributed to reduced internal friction. The fuel intake system used a twin-barrel Isan carburetor, ensuring consistent fuel-air mixture while remaining easy to service. The engine produced approximately 110 horsepower at 5,000 RPM. Peak torque was around 137 pound-feet at 3,600 RPM. And the first car to use this engine was the Toyota Crown 8, the highest-tier version of the Crown series, launched in 1964. This was Toyota's first sedan to feature a V8 engine, developed directly from the 2M's inline-6 platform, aimed squarely at Japan's executives and business elite. Though it was only sold domestically in limited numbers, the Crown 8 laid the groundwork for an entirely new product line. In 1967, the name Toyota Century officially appeared, and that was the true stage for the 2M. The Century was more than just a car, it was a symbol. This was the limousine chosen by prime ministers, corporate chairmen, and even Japanese royalty. For over a decade, the 2M served as the silent heart behind that luxurious bodywork. There were also a few other variants, like the Crown Majesta or a special edition Crown Royal Saloon, that tested the 2M. But production numbers were extremely limited and rarely exported. In Japan, some 1968 Toyota Century units were still operating daily well into the early 2000s without ever requiring an engine overhaul. During routine oil changes or spark plug checks, mechanics would open the hood as a formality. No knocking sounds, no blow-by gas, and virtually no oil leaks even after hundreds of thousands of miles. A garage owner in Kyoto once said that in his 40 years of working, he only remembered opening up a 2 MB block once, not because of failure, but because the owner wanted the engine repainted for display purposes. Japanese mechanics referred to the 2M as a tea ceremony engine. Quiet, composed, but durable and proper. Not only in ideal conditions, the 2M also proved reliable in harsher settings. Many premium taxi fleets in Tokyo use Toyota Crown models equipped with the 2M to serve international guests. Even with constant stop-and-go driving and repeated accelerations, the engine maintained near-perfect stability. When placed alongside other inline-6 engines of the same era, the difference wasn't in numbers, it was in philosophy. Toyota chose a road less traveled, refined operation over brute force. In the United States, engines like the Chevrolet 230 or Ford 240 were often geared toward torque, used in light trucks or large sedans. They were durable, strong, easy to repair, but their sound was heavy and the feel rougher. Meanwhile, in Europe, brands like Mercedes-Benz had the M180 series, and BMW had the M30, using similar displacement and technology as the 2M, but generally costlier and requiring higher-grade fuel. The 2M was different. It was designed to be durable, smooth, and perfectly suited for Japanese conditions at the time. Where fuel wasn't particularly strong, highways didn't allow for constant high-speed driving, and customers were extremely sensitive to noise. Even compared to the Mercedes M180, the 2M proved superior in low RPM quietness. It lacked modern fuel injection, but the twin Aisin carburetors delivered surprisingly consistent performance. And when it came to ease of maintenance, no one surpassed Toyota in that era. Another key difference: Japanese engines rarely leaked oil, while many American and European engines were expected to burn some by default. That wasn't just engineering, it was a cultural approach, meticulous, careful, and designed not to bother the user. By the early 1970s, everything had started to change, and although still reliable, this engine began to feel out of place in a world stepping into a new era. The first reason was technical. With over 2.3 liters of displacement and just around 110 horsepower, the 2M was seen as too tame by modern consumer standards. The market was starting to demand more: quicker acceleration, heavier loads, and sharper throttle response. What was once considered smooth was now viewed as sluggish. Second, the world was tightening emissions regulations. Carbureted engines like the 2M could no longer easily pass the new standards in Japan, Europe, or North America. Toyota realized they needed new technologies, such as electronic fuel injection, variable valve timing, and even dual overhead cams to move forward. Third, product strategy had shifted. Toyota was expanding globally, and they needed more versatile engine platforms, suitable for both economy cars and expansion into sports or luxury markets. So, in 1972, the 2M quietly gave way to its successors, 4M, then 5M, 6M, and later 7M. When the 4M was introduced, many of the veteran engineers from the 2M project were still around. They continued passing on the lessons they had learned, from ideal bore-stroke ratios to crankshaft balancing, and especially the signature wedge-shaped combustion chamber design. These were subtle details only insiders paid attention to, but they shaped the Toyota driving feel that no other brand could replicate. By the time the 7 million arrived, technologies like electronic fuel injection and turbocharging had become part of the picture, but the engineering core still held true to the original philosophy: smooth, durable, easy to control. Then came the 1JZ, and the legendary 2JZ. Many people focused only on their power, but for those who had experienced the 2M, there was something familiar. Not the sound, not the specs, but the way the engine behaved, as if it was blending into the car, not fighting against it. Today, when people talk about Toyota's legendary engines, names like the 2JZ, 4AGE, or 3S GTE come to mind easily. But few still mention the 2M. It never had fame on the racetrack, never delivered explosive horsepower. What it left behind was only silence, and it's that very silence that makes it unforgettable. Maybe you once sat in an old Century and felt the engine whisper through thick glass. Maybe you were a mechanic, opening the hood and seeing an unusually clean engine block. Or maybe you've just learned about the 2M through this video and suddenly feel there's something very Japanese about it. If you have a memory, an experience, or even just a small impression of this engine, feel free to leave a comment below. We truly value real stories, big or small. And if you love videos that tell the history of engines with both engineering and emotion, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next stories.